Iran has announced Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the recently killed supreme leader, as his father's successor. This is widely projected to cement hardline control in Tehran and comes after U.S. President Donald Trump warned that the next supreme leader is not going to last long without U.S. approval. Around 200 South Koreans stranded in the UAE have returned home on a charter flight, arriving in the early hours of this morning. The government says it's working to bring back Koreans affected by flight disruptions across the Middle East and has strengthened travel advisories for several countries in the region. South Korea's Kim Eun-ji has made history, becoming the first Korean woman to win a Winter Paralympic gold medal. Kim won gold in the women's para-biathlon individual sitting event, marking Team Korea's first Winter Paralympic gold since 2018. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. We begin today in Iran, which has officially named Mojtaba Khamenei as its new supreme leader following the death of his father. The appointment cements hardline control in Tehran, but U.S. President Donald Trump is already warning the new leader will not last without American approval. Our Kim Do-yeon starts us off.
Iran's Assembly of Experts has named Mojtaba Khamenei as the country's new supreme leader, cementing hardline control in Tehran as the conflict with the United States and Israel intensifies. The widely expected move was officially announced just after midnight Monday in Tehran. The 88-member clerical body appointed Mojtaba to succeed his father, Ali Khamenei, who was killed over a week ago.
The esteemed members of the Assembly of Experts appoint and introduce Ayatollah Sayyid Mojtaba Khamenei, may God preserve him, as the third leader of the sacred system of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
As a mid-ranking cleric with deep ties to Iran's security apparatus and extensive business networks, the new Ayatollah holds the absolute final say on all state matters in the Islamic Republic. Anticipating the appointment, United States President Donald Trump issued a preemptive warning on Sunday. Speaking to ABC News before the official announcement, Trump stated that any new Iranian leader must receive U.S. approval or risk being swiftly removed. He has also called Khamenei a lightweight when reports arose about the appointment. The ongoing conflict continues to result in casualties on multiple fronts. U.S. Central Command announced the death of a 7th American service member. The individual succumbed to injuries sustained during an Iranian attack on U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia on March 1st. Meanwhile, the Sharan oil depot in Tehran continues to burn following Israeli strikes on fuel facilities over the weekend. Iran's oil distribution company reported the deaths of 4 employees and announced temporary fuel rationing. The Iranian Foreign Ministry condemned the strikes as a war crime, accusing Israel of releasing toxic substances into civilian areas. The Israeli military stated the depots are legal military targets used to store and produce propellant for ballistic missiles, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowing to continue the assault without mercy. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
And President Lee Je-hyuk presided over an emergency economic meeting this morning to monitor the impact of the conflict in the Middle East. The meeting was attended by officials from the Ministries of Finance, Industry, and Energy, among others. They're expected to have discussed measures related to the stock markets and oil prices, as the authorities have been closely monitoring developments. President Lee called for strong measures against price collusion by oil refiners and mentioned the need to speed up introducing a price cap on petroleum products. And this comes as global oil prices surged past $100 a barrel on Monday as conflict in the Middle East disrupts supply routes. Global benchmark prices climbed sharply, with West Texas Intermediate jumping about 15% to $107.54 per barrel as of 7 a.m. Korea time, the first time since July 2022 that it has traded above $100. Brent crude also rose, briefly reaching as high as $111 a barrel. Disruptions to shipping through the Strait of Hormuz have fueled instability in the global energy market. Market watchers warn that oil prices could keep rising, with Goldman Sachs saying oil could reach $150 a barrel by the end of the month if flows are not restored. And South Korea's stock market triggered a circuit breaker on Monday as soaring oil prices linked to Middle East tensions rattled investor sentiment. The Korea Exchange said the measure was activated on the KOSPI around 10:30 a.m., halting trading of all listed shares for 20 minutes after the index plunged more than 8%. The benchmark index stood at 5,132.07 at the time, down 8.1% from the previous close. Earlier in the session, a sell-side sidecar had been triggered just 6 minutes after the opening bell. A selling sidecar was also triggered on the KOSDAQ at the same time the KOSPI circuit breaker kicked in. And hundreds of South Koreans stranded in the UAE have returned home on a charter flight as tensions continue in the Middle East. Seoul says it's working to bring back around 3,000 nationals affected by flight disruptions following recent U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
A chartered flight has brought home hundreds of South Koreans stranded in the United Arab Emirates as tensions continue in the Middle East. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry, an Etihad Airways chartered plane carrying 203 South Korean nationals and 3 foreign spouses departed from Abu Dhabi on Sunday and arrived at Incheon International Airport early Monday morning.
Morning and evening, we heard loud booms from missiles being intercepted, so going about our daily lives was very scary. When I got on the flight, I was so happy. I thought, now I can finally go home.
The evacuation comes as South Korea moves to assist roughly 3,000 nationals who have been stranded in the UAE due to widespread flight disruptions following U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran last month. The deteriorating security situation in the region had led to temporary suspensions and delays in commercial flights. Government officials say about 1,500 South Koreans have now left the UAE, including those on the chartered flight, as air travel to and from the country gradually resumes. To support the evacuation effort, the Foreign Ministry dispatched a joint rapid response team to the UAE. The South Korean embassy there began accepting applications from citizens wishing to board the chartered flight this past weekend. Meanwhile, Seoul has also strengthened travel advisories for several Middle Eastern countries amid the ongoing instability. The Foreign Ministry raised its warning level for Bahrain, the UAE, Oman, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan to a level 3 travel alert, which strongly advises South Korean nationals to leave those countries. The alert took effect Sunday, replacing a special travel advisory put in place earlier. Officials say the stricter warning will apply to all areas of Bahrain, the UAE, Oman, Qatar, and Kuwait, as authorities continue to monitor the security situation and prepare further measures to assist Korean nationals in the region if necessary. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
And President Je-hyuk has thanked the leaders of Turkmenistan and Singapore for their help in evacuating South Korean nationals from the Middle East. In a written briefing on Monday, Blue House spokesperson Kang Yoo-jung said he sent letters of appreciation to Turkmenistan President Sardar Berdimuhamedov and Singaporean Prime Minister Lawrence Wong for their support. Turkmenistan helped facilitate the entry of 25 South Koreans and their 4 Iranian family members from Iran into its territory last week. Singapore also allowed 4 Koreans in Oman to board its charter flights to Singapore over the weekend. A National Assembly Special Committee is set to approve a bill supporting South Korea's planned $350 billion investment in the United States after holding back-to-back subcommittee and plenary meetings on Monday. The legislation would establish a dedicated investment corporation and a risk management committee to oversee projects in sectors such as shipbuilding and semiconductors, as outlined in a bilateral agreement between the two countries. If approved by the committee later in the day, the bill is expected to head to the National Assembly plenary session on March 12th for final passage. Meanwhile, South Korea and the United States begin their annual joint springtime military exercise, Freedom Shield. The exercise starts today, March 9th, and runs until the 19th. It'll incorporate lessons learned from recent warfare trends into its scenarios. Around 18,000 troops will take part in this year's joint drills, a number similar to last year, though the number of field training drills has been nearly halved to 22 this year, down from 51 last year. As Seoul and Washington have agreed to accelerate efforts to transfer the wartime operational control, the drills are expected to focus on evaluating whether the conditions for transfer have been met. Meanwhile, eyes are on North Korea, which may respond with provocations such as launching ballistic missiles. And South Korea's Kim Yoon-ji has captured the country's first gold medal after finishing first in the para-biathlon at this year's Winter Paralympics in Italy. Je-hyuk also picked up a medal in para-snowboarding. Our correspondent Park Gun-woo reports.
South Korea's Kim Yoon-ji topped the podium in the women's sitting para-biathlon in Italy on Sunday, making her the country's first female to win a Winter Paralympic gold. It's also Korea's first gold won overseas, with the country's only previous gold coming at the 2018 Pyeongchang Games.
I'm overjoyed to have won the gold medal sooner than I expected. I'm also incredibly happy that Korean women's para-snow sports have finally earned a medal.
In the 12.5-kilometer event combining cross-country skiing and shooting, Kim finished in just over 38 minutes, beating the second-place finisher by more than 12 seconds and 36 seconds ahead of third place. Athletes had to complete 4 shooting rounds with 5 shots in each round, with every miss adding 1 minute to their race time. In the para-snowboard event also on Sunday, South Korea's Je-hyuk claimed the bronze medal in his second Paralympic appearance, marking the country's first ever medal in the sport. Among the 4 finalists, Yi finished third behind athletes from Italy and Australia. Yi, who began his career as a non-para snowboarder, finally stood on the Paralympic podium after falling short at the Beijing Olympics 4 years ago. The achievements of both athletes were praised by President Lee Jae-myung, who said on social media that their efforts and passion at overcoming physical limits had finally paid off. With the 2 medals won on Sunday, Team Korea has already attained its goal of securing at least 1 gold and 1 bronze within the first 2 days of the 10-day event. More medal chances remain, with Kim Yoon-ji and Je-hyuk both scheduled to compete in additional events, as well as other athletes. And with the country's best result coming at the Pyeongchang Games with 1 gold and 2 bronzes, attention is now turning to whether Team Korea can make new history. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
And with this year's Winter Paralympics underway, we take a closer look at how Korea has been innovating sports to become barrier-free and accessible for everyone. Our An Sung-jin takes a close look from wheelchair-based esports to accessible training centers.
It looks just like any other motion-based video game. But if you take a closer look, the player racing through the lanes is in a wheelchair. For wheelchair users, the simple act of breaking a sweat through sports can be difficult. But this platform allows users to participate in virtual competitions, such as racing, cross-country skiing, and road biking. Players move their wheelchairs to control the game, turning digital play into real aerobic exercise.
I became disabled in 2011, but before that, I used to enjoy playing basketball. Not a lot of people know much about these platforms for the disabled, so I want these to become more well-known.
This wheelchair workout doesn't just focus on rehab, it helps with weight loss and cardio, and it builds upper body strength as well. For disabled people, including wheelchair users, exercise can have limited options with few accessible opportunities, especially indoors.
What started as a solution for people like my mother is now being developed based on their needs. Our platform leads to professional players, which also increases employment for the disabled, so I hope to reach out to more people.
In South Korea, more inclusive sports facilities are emerging. The Pandabi Sports Center is designed as a shared sports complex where people with and without disabilities can exercise together.
There aren't many places for people like us to go, but here we can get together. I hope people with disabilities come out and join activities like this.
The center provides adaptive equipment and hosts sports games, including goalball, a game designed for visually impaired athletes who track a ball-filled ball by sound.
Though this sport is designed for the visually impaired, everyone plays under the same conditions with their eyes covered, which makes it unique. And we get to play it together as a team.
That's why a lawmaker is emphasizing that these sports movements need strong institutional backing for more accessibility.
It is important to strengthen support systems, including building accessible sports facilities, providing shared transportation, and ensuring that assistants are available when needed.
With increasing innovations, these opportunities are opening doors that were long closed to some of those with disabilities, for everyone to stay active. An Song-jin, Arirang News.
And with South Korea's elderly population growing rapidly, AI-powered care spaces are being established across towns in Gyeonggi-do province, providing vital hubs for managing seniors' health and supporting their emotional well-being. Our Cha Young-kyung reports.
This is an AI Sarangbang, a community hub where senior citizens can enjoy a variety of AI-driven activities. Here, one is fully immersed in a digital game, tapping the screen with practiced ease. Nearby, another is locked in a strategic match of Go against an AI opponent.
Terms like robots and AI are often burdensome and uneasy for seniors. So I feel like this could be a good place to become more familiar with them.
The first AI Sarangbang was established in Gwaninmyeon, Pocheon in 2024. This was followed by more openings in Yangpyeong-gun County and Hwasong last December. These areas are deeply impacted by aging, with nearly half of Gwaninmyeon's residents being 65 or older. Beyond these hubs, Gyeonggi-do province is rolling out a range of AI-driven senior citizen care initiatives. This includes providing AI care robots that offer companionship, give medication reminders, and act as a lifeline by placing urgent calls in emergency situations.
It makes me happy to know I'm not alone. When I return home, my robot is there to welcome me instead of an empty house.
Gyeonggi-do province will boost its AI care projects in areas where hospitals and welfare infrastructure are insufficient.
The AI Sarangbang in Pocheon has seen around 3,000 visitors, contributing to improved cognitive function and physical activity through the use of AI and digital devices.
AI technology is becoming a strong social safety net in farming and fishing villages that are dealing with aging populations. Cha Young-kyung, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. In Norway, Oslo police are investigating a deliberate explosion early on Sunday morning that targeted the United States Embassy. A backpack containing an incendiary device exploded outside the U.S. Embassy in Oslo at 1 a.m. Sunday. The blast damaged the building's entrance but caused no injuries. Oslo police confirmed that investigators are treating the incident as a targeted attack. Authorities have not raised the national terror level, but the Norwegian Police Security Service has deployed additional personnel to secure the capital. The U.S. State Department has launched its own investigation alongside Norwegian authorities to investigate the matter. President Donald Trump on Sunday has issued a legislative ultimatum, vowing to withhold his signature from all future bills until Congress passes a strict new voting law. The Republican-backed Save America Act requires voters to provide proof of citizenship and imposes criminal penalties on election officials who fail to verify documentation. Trump said he wants it passed immediately, hoping to have the law in place ahead of the November midterm elections. The House passed the measure in February, but it faces a certain filibuster from Senate Democrats. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer warned that the president's stance will cause total gridlock in Washington. Colombians headed to the polls on Sunday to elect a new Congress and select presidential candidates amid rising tensions over alleged election fraud. Colombian authorities temporarily closed the country's borders and deployed 126,000 officers nationwide for Sunday's congressional elections and presidential primaries. Defense Minister Pedro Sanchez reported a major security breach after officials intercepted 2,400 people attempting to illegally cross the border with Venezuela. President Gustavo Petro immediately denounced the incident as, quote, large-scale fraud. Women across the globe took to the streets on Sunday to mark the 115th International Women's Day. The global event serves as both a celebration of female achievement and a high-stakes call to action for fundamental human rights. The United Nations officially recognized the holiday in 1977, and it now stands as an official public holiday in over 20 countries. Under the 2026 theme, Give to Gain, activists shifted their focus toward challenging systematic discrimination and securing justice for victims of gender-based violence. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
The start of the new week won't feel too spring-like for the central regions with occasional rain or snow. Snowfall could bring 1 to 5 centimeters to mountainous regions of Gangwon-do province, while spotty rain is expected along the east coast during the day. Meanwhile, fine dust drifting in from overseas on northwesterly winds will push ultra-fine dust levels to bad across the capital regions, and other areas will see air quality getting worse as the day goes on today. And this afternoon, Seoul will be getting up to 8 degrees Celsius. Daegu, Gwangju will make it to 10 degrees under sunnier skies this afternoon. But western regions will notice winds getting stronger, so be sure to dress warmly. And from the middle of the week, temperatures will rise again, bringing milder spring weather. But wide temperature swings will continue this week. Dress accordingly to avoid catching a cold.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.